All right, so welcome everyone to our first town hall meeting of the WPA ECP section. Today is a fairly informal session. We do have agenda. We want to talk a little bit about the action plan that we put in place when we came into office. We want to talk about our activities that we have done so far. And then we also want to introduce our new terms of reference, just because there will be plenty of opportunities for early career psychiatrists around the world to participate in the section activities. And I'm actually here today with Alex, who is the co-chair of the section, and I'm the secretary of the section. And on behalf of Lamia, the chair, and the two of us, we want to welcome you to today's first town hall meeting. There will be a second town hall meeting coming up on April 18th. We have two meetings just to make sure that people across different time zones can actually join us. But also today's session is really, like, as I said, informal. So there will be plenty of time for discussions and questions and opportunities to raise your opinion and to share your ideas with us. But before we go there, to provide some content. And from here, I will delve right into the action plan that we drafted when we came into office early last year. So really the goal for us as a section, right? Remember, the WPA is built as an executive board, right? Consisting of 5 members. And then there is sections, and it's within the sections that most of the work happens. The WPA currently has 66 sections. One of them is the early career psychiatrist section, right? And there's also like special interest groups, such as the medical student special interest group. But each section can basically have a maximum of 8 members. And so, having 8 members from around the world, you will see a picture in a few slides. But as you can already recognize, having 8 members across the world is good in terms of like global representation, but it's also not necessarily the most inclusive, right? And the best to empower as many early career psychiatrists that we can. And so hence we did change our terms of references to include more early career psychiatrists the world, so that they can actually join us in our activities. Our core goal is, as you can see here, to empower early career psychiatrists. And then we have core working principles like inclusivity, diversity, gender balance, innovation, curiosity. And I don't need to read them to you. You can actually scan the QR code and you will go directly to the action plan. I do want to highlight a few things here on this slide. It's a fairly busy slide, apologies for that, but we do have different objectives across the action plan. And so I just want to highlight the main areas that we have been focused on and working on. And so one is really strengthen the visibility and the communication of the ECP section, just because we do believe that not only we as a section, we need to communicate and say what we are doing also for reasons of accountability and transparency, but also we do believe that it is really important for our members to showcase their talents and their work, just because there's such a wealth in activities that early career psychiatrists do around the world, and that deserves to be highlighted. The second one is really to optimize membership and participation processes within the ECP section. We talk a little bit more about what this means in terms of the new terms of reference. But one thing that was really important to us is to think creatively how we can expand membership, because in this case, we do believe the more the merrier, right? Because everyone has different interests. Everyone comes from different backgrounds. So we do want to represent as many early career psychiatrists as possible in our section, and even allies. I will talk about this in a second. Then our objective number 3 is to strengthen governance, administrative organization, and accountability. Again, we do believe in well-defined roles, right? Everyone in our section should have a role that suits them, but also we do believe in transparency, right? We want to make decisions very transparent. We often, reach out when we draft proposals. We would reach out through our zonal representatives so that they can elicit feedback from our members. We share it with the listserv, so nothing that we do should be secret, but you all should know what we do at any time. And if you don't, then you should be able to ask questions and just get back to us. Objective 4 is to foster networking, collaboration, and capacity building amongst the ECP members, right? Once again, like, it is one good thing for us as a section to have as many members as possible, but also, you know, the collaboration doesn't really depend on the section per se, right? But you guys can build connections amongst each others, right? And really start collaborating. We also want to promote training opportunities, professional development opportunities, right? We also, as part of the collaboration, we do see the World Psychiatry Exchange Program as an important part of it. And so these are some activities we think about when we think about fostering networking and collaboration. Objective 5 is to increase connections and partnerships with national and international bodies, and that's both in terms of like strengthening the section relationship with existing WPA structures, such as the executive board, but also with national psychiatric associations. There is a strong connection between some national psychiatric organizations and the ECP section already, but we really want to strengthen, right? Like, every member that we have represents, or, you know, most often, like, has some connections with a national psychiatric organization, or at least is in a country where there is a national psychiatric organization. And so we do want to strengthen the connection section, the WPA and national psychiatric organizations. But also we do want to strengthen, you know, and help our ECPs that come from countries in which there is no national psychiatric organization. Just because there's no psychiatric national organization doesn't mean they shouldn't be a member of the section, right? And that's where it gets into technicalities. I will talk about this a little bit in the new terms of references, but really our goal is to strengthen the relationship between us and like national psychiatric organizations, but also international bodies, as you can see here, such as the WHO or the World Bank. You know, we also promote trainings that these institutions offer, particularly if early career psychiatrists are involved. We have objective 6, which is to improve the quality and the quantity of ECP events, right? Every time we do an event now, we do send out evaluation matrix thereafter to learn from you guys what worked, what didn't work, what we should keep on doing, what we should stop doing, what we should continue doing and add to it. And so that's really important to us. And then objective 7 is to strengthen the advocacy, the representation and funding opportunities. Again, for us, it is really important to be as inclusive as possible. And you can see here that some of these action items are actually highlighted in green. And that means that these are the action items we have been working on consistently since we came into office, which was early last year. And there's a lot going on, and you will actually hear from Alex in our activity report section, which is the next section, about some of the activities that we have been doing. The last point I want to make here is, at this point, we were able to grow section membership to more than 500 members already. We have about 320 current members. I'm just going to give you the definition here just because it matters down the line, and also in terms of our new terms of references. But current member basically mean they do fulfill the criteria of being an early career psychiatrist, which is either they are currently in psychiatry training or subspecialty training or fellowships, such as addiction psychiatry or child and adolescent psychiatry or forensic psychiatry. And on top of that, they are also officially a member of a national psychiatric organization. So these are the current members, and the current members are basically the ones who are able to stand for elections and also are able to vote and also are able to take up any of the activities, activities that we share for ECP section members. We do have a very special place in our section and hearts for our special members. These special members, they do define or do meet the criteria for being an early career psychiatrist, right? Again, like either in psychiatry training or in subspecialty training, or up to 7 years after graduation of your specialty training or subspecialty training. But for one reason or another, they are not able to be a member of a national psychiatric organization, either because in their respective countries, there is no national psychiatric organization, or because residents or trainees are not allowed to be a member of a national psychiatric organization in that respective country, or there are many financial reasons, right? Like early career psychiatrists has very particular finances, and sometimes it's just not affordable, right? But we do believe that any of these reasons shouldn't exclude you from being a member of our section, even though by definition, right, if you are a member of a national psychiatric organization that is recognized by the World Psychiatric Organization as a member organization, right? By default, you are a member of the World Psychiatric Association. If you're not a member of a National Psychiatric Association, by default, you're not a member, right, of the World Psychiatric Association. But we still do believe that we need to have these members in our section, as I said before, because we don't want any of these barriers to be obstacles to participating. And so we have been working with the WPA leadership on how best we can include members that are by default not a member of the World Psychiatric Association, but still want to become section members for the early career psychiatrists. And then we do have alumni. These are people that did fulfill the criteria for the early career psychiatry section in the past, but no longer fulfill the criteria, but still feel close to the mission and vision and activities of the section. And then we do have allies. These are medical students who are interested in psychiatry. So we are also liaising with the special interest group of the medical students. We have psychologists in there. We have nursing staff in there. And so again, that brings us to a total of more than 500 members. It's a very vibrant community, and we're actually growing every day. And one thing I want to task you with is, if you are in a position where you have colleagues or friends who do fulfill any of these criteria, right, please do send them the link. Alex can actually kindly, or I can share the link eventually to apply for section membership, because again, we think the more the merrier in the case of members. And we are really happy to have all of you being members of our section. With that being said, I want to hand it over to Alex to help us with the activity report for our last year.
Okay, I think it's easier if I share my screen here.
Yep.
So, okay. I'll be brief, because Rick already mentioned most of the activities we are doing. We just want to say how I just want to say how we did it, and also some key ideas of what we are going to do in the close future. So we started our mandate in April of last year, after the previous mandate that were Dr. Mariana, and now as soon as we started, we defined our roles. Since we have a chair, a co-chair, and a secretary as the officers of the committee, but we also have other roles that I'll explain a little bit better later. And after that, we started to develop an action plan for what we will do in the 3 years of our mandate, and also launch a membership. We launched a membership restructuring and application system, because the one we had was outdated, and now it made easier for these 500 people to apply. We created some social media platforms that we didn't have, as the Instagram and the LinkedIn, and we updated the X and the Facebook ones. Also, we started some collaboration with other sections, such as the digital mental health section, the medical students working group, and also education and publication committee of the WPA. Also, we started creating the WhatsApp communities and the opportunities repository, because we believe that social media nowadays is a very fast communication platform. So we had to go beyond, and we believe that since we created these WhatsApp communities, it was easier for ECPs to interact. And we decided that we would like to have trimestral newsletters. So we started to prepare our first one. After that, we launched a global AI survey in psychiatry alongside the WHO. We started planning and we delivered our first conjoined webinar with the digital mental health section. It was on AI and ethics in mental health. Also, we started developing an ECP track for the WPA Regional Congress in Quito, Ecuador. That happened later in November of last year. The ECP track, just for you to understand, is like we selected, and we also were responsible for creating a special program for ECPs inside the Congress, and we are working to do that also in the World Congress of Psychiatry. And it's interesting because ECPs can just follow this, and they will have activities designed for them, which is something new in the history of the WPA. Also, last year we were celebrating our 10th anniversary, so we created a project with videos from previous and current members. Also, a celebration during the WCP that happened in Prague. We started creating a social media strategy and a posting protocol. So anyone who would like to post could submit content for the social media to be evaluated. Also, we started disseminating research opportunities and other WPA initiatives for ECPs in all our platforms. In August and September of last year, we eventually launched and called for videos for the 10th anniversary project. Also, we organized our archive system. We helped to coordinate ECP participation in the World Congress as chairs for the sessions, also for the poster presentation to host poster presentations. Also, we started the opening opportunities for hosts for the World Psychiatry Exchange program that Rick can talk a little bit better later. Also, we disseminated a global education survey. We published our first trimestral newsletter. And also during the WCP, we created a social media subcommittee with ECPs interested in managed social media. So they are very dedicated, and as you can see, all our social medias are thriving now thanks to them. And also, we developed the ECP welcome package. So anyone who just joins this section can read this material and search, so they can understand what we have done, what we are doing, and what we could do. In October and November, we had this participation in the World Congress of Psychiatry. We were host of the 3 minutes competitions, the WPA quiz. Also, we participated in mentorship for medical students in the presidential panel and in many sessions. And we helped foster networking and community engagement among the ECPs. Also, for all the activities we chaired and hosted, we created an evaluation mechanism so we could improve them. And we started reviewing the terms of reference because we figured that it would be important for our new structure to have also a new terms of reference that we are presenting now. Also, we started preparing the annual report and public materials, so it's available for all our community to access. And also we had an active role in the regional congress in Quito. Last year we participated, but we did not, as the first regional congress happened in Alexandria, and we had just started our mandate, we could not create an ECP track, but for the Quito one we did. So it was a regional engagement in Latin America that happens to be my zone now, my region actually, because it has more than one zone. And we promoted networking events there too. So in December, we started promoting the exchange program and the WPA, the WCP Congress of this year's submissions. We started a collaboration with the ISAM Next about addiction with another institution. We enhanced our social media program. And we started planning some webinar series for this year and strengthening our member communication. So this year we started with mentorship and support for the WCP submissions. We had, I believe it's here, 12 VCP-led and 8 co-hosted symposia proposals, which is a great number. We don't know how many of them will be accepted, but we believe a lot because of the high quality of the symposia submitted. Also, we worked on the annual report and action plan. We just launched the exchange program. Also, we strengthened the collaboration with students and alumni. Last month, we finished our terms of reference revision. We also launched our second trimestral newsletter, and we implemented the welcome package, and we increased the engagement in the regional WhatsApp communities. And this month, what we have done so far and what's still scheduled for this month is this first town hall, the presentation of the TOR. Also, we participated in an WPA intergenerational meeting with the primary care, and I forgot the other part of the section. Also, we launched a journal club that will happen next week, if I'm not sure, I'm not wrong. And we are planning also for the next month the difficult cases presentation. It's going to be an online session presented by ECP, and it's coordinated by ECPs. It's going to be really interesting. It's something that we had during the World Congress too, and we had such a great feedback that ACPs wanted to have it regularly, even outside of the World Congress. Also, we are evaluating AI education service, and we are going to participate in the 18th Geneva Conference on Person-Centered Medicine. I think it's over to you now, Rick, right?
Yes, I will take over. I do want to just highlight one thing, right? So while we are one of the 66 sections at WPA, you can see that our goal is really to reach beyond our section and really represent early career psychiatrists across sections. And so that is why we are so actively working on building networks with other sections and have early career psychiatrists be the ones leading the sessions, right? So it's not like only the committee, the 8 of us, who do all the work, but for every activity we do, we usually have a call for session leaders, and these are early career psychiatrists around the world, and that's really how we try to diversify representation. Our new terms of reference, I'm going to talk about them really briefly because I want you to know that there are new opportunities in which you can apply. And then also I will, just open it up for questions and discussions. But really our goal is, as I said before, this global and participatory leadership, right, where we have a wide representation. And Alex, if you can just click one ahead, please. As Alex said, the section celebrated its 10th anniversary last year. So we had the first draft of the terms of reference in 2015. That was then amended by the team in 2017. We looked at it and we thought it's like very governance focused, and there was minimal structure in terms of like some of the items that are really important to be defined. And so we actually look at our new terms of reference, look at the governance and the operations and engagement opportunities, and you will see some of these shifts. Next slide, please. Or do you want me to take over, Alex, the slide sharing?
Yeah, I think it's better because it's a little slow here.
Yeah, no worries. So let me just take over the slides. Okay. Do you guys see the PowerPoint, my PowerPoint again?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, awesome.
Yes,
so
yes, it's true.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So first, the membership model, right? As I said before, so we only did have current members before that are people that are both ECPs and are the National Psychiatric Association. But now we actually added special members, right? Remember, these are ECPs who are ECPs, but not a member of a National Psychiatric Organization for whatever reason. They have the same rights as the current members. The only difference is that currently they cannot stand for elections or vote, but otherwise they have access to the same opportunities. We also now have alumni and allies, like non-psychiatrists in our section as members. The other thing is what we really worked on is the definition of ECP, because oftentimes, when people finish their specialty training in general psychiatry, they actually decide to go for subspecialty training, like fellowships, right? Like addiction psychiatry, forensic psychiatry, child and adolescent psychiatry. And we really heard from our members in the past, right, that didn't matter. Like, what was looked at was the date of your graduation from general psychiatry training. But we noticed that, even if you finish your general psychiatry training and you work for like a little while as a consultant or attending, right? And then you do subspecialty training again, oftentimes in terms of like, hierarchies, power dynamics, like access to financial opportunities, you are, kind of like, again, like an ECP, right? And so we decided that we would extend the opportunity to become a member of the section, not, we would extend it to everyone who does subspecialty training too, and who fulfills the criteria, of an ECP, basically. Also, there are a lot of cases, right, where people like do training in one country, and then they go to a different country and have to redo their training, right? So if you look at the numbers only, we would say, well, yes, you did graduate residency, like, or psychiatry training like 5 years ago, but if you have to start again, right, from day one, you get like a lower income, you're basically like an ECP. We're now allowing people to use their latest residency training, right, in order to become an ECP member. We also like doing case-by-case decisions and have more flexibility. For the elections, we now have an election committee. We will put an election committee for each elections. Elections take place every 3 years. They will actually start planning the elections like a year out. And there will be something new. There's an observer transition period, right? So for the WPA, you have, like, for example, the president-elect, right, that is observing the president or is working with the president on the executive committee for 3 years prior to becoming the president. And we actually also want to elect the next committee before we transition, so that we can work together with the incoming committee and actually hand over the activities, so that by day one, the new committee takes over, right? We have a functional committee, and they know what they are doing and what the roles are. We also are strengthening the regional representation. We do have a new governance structure. Like some of the roles that Alex touched on have been consolidated, and now and the new roles. So again, like a WPA section cannot have more than 8 section members that run the committee. So we have 3 section officers, the chair, which is Lamia, the co-chair, which is Alex, and the secretary, which is myself. And then we have like 5 committee members. And so one of the committee members is now the project and capacity building coordinator. One of them is the liaison and partnerships coordinator. One is the research and publications coordinator. One is the communications and outreach coordinator, and one is the conference and events coordinator. But we also said, right, in the past, there was like an unlimited time that people could run for section officers as long as they did fulfill the criteria. But it's not really enforceable under the WPA bylaws. However, we do strongly recommend that the section officers, which is the chair, the co-chair, and the secretary, only run for 1 term, which is 3 years. And that is mostly because we do want to allow ECPs to take up these leadership roles, right? And we don't want to be stuck in these roles, even though, even if you think we are doing good work, that doesn't mean that we should be there for a long time, because I think it's important to get fresh voices and representation. Here's the overview of the new roles. That picture can be found on our homepage as well, so I'm just going to show it very quickly. But I'm currently representing zones 1 and zones 2. I used to zone 3, like the Caribbean, Central America, Mexico, used to be zone 3 was part of my zone. Like I had zone 1, 2, and 3. But with the new terms of reference and after consultation with stakeholders in the region, we decided that zone 3 is now a part of like Alex's jurisdiction. And mostly because people felt, Spanish speaking, like more similar backgrounds and cultures with some of the countries in Latin America, like in South America. And so we decided to shift zone 3 out from Canada and the US now onto, Alex's mandate, which is covering South America and then now Central America and some other countries. And then the other thing I just want to point out here quickly is that for the zone of zone 13 and 14, which is basically sub-Saharan Africa, mostly we currently have 2 representatives, and mainly because Tejal is on maternity leave. So that's another mechanism we actually started, right? If one of the committee members has to be out of office for an extended period of time for whatever reason, right, we still want the work to continue. And so we are now allowing the nomination for a representative for the time that the committee member is out. And, that in this case, this is Sweta that is joining us. And we are working closely with both of them now in the transition period, now that Tejal is coming back. The other thing I wanted to highlight for you is that there will be new appointed position to strengthen the participation of the early career psychiatrists, right? And that is really what we want, and we want more representation on your end. So let me just go quickly through these roles so you know what you will be able to apply to when we send a call in a few weeks. First of all, I want to highlight, I said this already, but the section is limited to 8 officers only and committee members, and that is just by definition of the bylaws of the WPA, right? And so the ECP section can only have 8 people representing the whole globe, right? Which is funny because the WPA has 18 zonal representatives, right? So there's zone 1, which is Canada, zone 2, which is the United States, and so zone 3, which is Mexico, Central America, and the Caribbean. And so that used to be, right, my representation. So I had to represent 3 zones in order to represent the whole globe with a limited number of people. But what we are going to do now is we are going to have zonal assistant liaisons officers. So each of the zones will actually have one ECP representing that zone, right? So there will be someone, for example, in my case, someone in Canada, and then there will be another ECP in the United States of America, and they're both working with me, right, as the zonal representative for both zones in order to promote activities, in order to liaise with the national psychiatric organizations, in order to recruit new members. And so that will just like give more ECPs access to the committee. The other is that we are always looking for project coordinators. So we have, for example, as Alex was saying, we have the difficult case discussion, right, as part of the WCP, but people really like that format. So we had a call for someone, right, to coordinate the difficult case discussions under the guidance of the corresponding committee member who's in charge for, projects and capacity building, which is Sharat. And so we had a call, and Dr. Mario Valiente applied, and he's now organizing the first session at the end of March. And so that is like one opportunity, for example, to get more engaged. We also will have liaison support officers that will work with the corresponding committee member, Fatma, right? So the objective is to work with Fatma to strengthen cooperation within the WPA across different sections, with the executive board, with different councils, right, but also external partners. We will have research coordinators that will work with Sarah, right, to assist the section with research and publications, coordinating survey design, data collection, and really help us think through how, as a scientific section, we can contribute to the scientific exchange. We will have newsletter assistant editors, right? So Catherine is currently the one who is in charge of editing everything related to the newsletter, but we will have newsletter assistant editors that will help us to collect some of the stories, to help with editing, to format the content, to interview ECPs, and so on. We have a social media officer, so that will be having a social media officer, or currently already have a social media officer, I should say, right? So under the guidance of Catherine, remember Catherine is responsible for social media and newsletter, right? But we do have a whole project team under the guidance of Hent, who is now in charge of our social media accounts, right? And so in terms of structure, just to give you an overview, I will show you one more slide at the end. But so it is basically the ECP section, right, the committee, the 8 of us, and so Catherine is the one in charge. Then Hent works with Catherine on social media stuff, and Hent herself has actually a team of 8 people, right, that work with her on this campaign. So Hent is now the boss of this, like the manager or the activity coordinator for the social media team, and then she, feedbacks to Catherine, who gives some guidance in terms of the long-term structure, and also with the board, like the 3 officers, Lamia, Alex, and myself. We will have event and logistic officers that will help with coordinating the World Congresses of Psychiatry, webinars, regional meetings, and they will work closely with Tejal and Sweeta. And then we will have a membership coordinator that will work with me on processing new membership applications, maintaining an accurate database, when people's expiration date comes up, right? Let's just say that it has been almost 7 years since graduation. Then they will contact these people and say, are you still fulfilling the criteria of the ECP section? If so, how? If not, then they will help us transition people from current member to an alumni, for example. And then we will have finance coordinators, because there's a new opportunity for this section to also think about funding, and I will show one slide at the end. But basically, the finance coordinator will work with Lamia as the chair and Alex as the co-chair, and will help us with some of the finance stuff. There will be an alumni and mentorship program coordinator that will help to engage the alumni members of our section, which are currently 72, as you saw before. And then apart from all these roles, right, we also now have the opportunity, according to our new terms of references, to have working groups and task forces. So the idea really is, if the section needs help with particular topics, we can establish time-limited working groups or task forces that work on specific topics. Early career psychiatrists can apply to become a member of these task force, and then they will work under the supervision of the section officers, which is, again, Lamia, Alex, and myself. And then we will, we expect a report at the end, and then the task force will be done. So here's the summary. As I said before, right, so the WPA is on the highest level, the executive committee, which is 5 people. Then we are working closely with the executive committee, and there's the early career psychiatry section, and particularly like the 3 section officers. And then we have the section committee, which is like the 8 of us, right? The 3 section officers and the 5 committee members representing ECPs around the world. There will be the opportunity to have working groups and task force working with the section committee, as I just said, but also under the section committee, under each of these committee members being a coordinator, the research coordinator or the newsletter coordinator or the event coordinator. They will now have appointed positions of ECPs they will work with, and then there's the general membership. So it all goes to say, if you are interested in applying for one of these new positions or more, if you have any questions, just reach out to us. We will send out an email after the second town hall meeting, which will take place on April 18th. After that meeting, we will send out an email with more information about how to apply in all these different positions again, so that you can apply for them. Lastly, I also already mentioned that there will be an opportunity for us to now have some funding. And that's basically a new guidance from the WPA. As long as the financial activities follow all bylaws and policies from the WPA. And so there's always, we need prior authorization from the WPA. But for example, if we were to put on a talk and we can generate or have a CME talk or get it approved as a CME talk, and people pay, and it doesn't only have to be ECPs that join us, right? It can be any early career psychiatrist. Then the money that we get through this presentation, for example, can now go towards the section, so that the section can use the money to implement some of the activities. One of the activities, or one of the things that we are also doing now is the 3 ECP awards, for example, right? So I hope you saw the email which we sent out a few weeks ago. But with these 3 ECP awards, hopefully in the future, there will be free registration for the conference. And so, for example, funding could be used for that, but there are many opportunities how we could use funding. So with that being said, let me just stop my screen share here so that we open it up to all of you for comments and questions. Okay. Did I stop my screen share? I can't see it on this end.
Yeah, you did.
All right, so over to you guys, everyone here. Any comments, any questions, any feedback, ideas?
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Hi.
Nice joining you guys. So I'm a new member joining you over the last couple of weeks. So it's a pleasure, and I'm eager, and I'm happy to involve in any kind of task or roles that I could be assigned. So I have a kind of question. So I'm still a member of Ethiopian Psychiatric Association, but I moved to Canada. I'm on the process of getting permanent residency, and I'm almost done with my clinical fellowship in forensic. I'm almost transitioning into a full psychiatrist role with a different licensing pathway for internationally trained psychiatrists. So I'm not sure which kind of regions directly I could be entertaining in the future.
Yeah, you, first of all, welcome. Secondly, you can decide, right? Whatever region you feel more connected with and see your future in. So, for example, our current chair, Lamia, trained in Tunisia, but now is working in Switzerland, right? But she has very strong connections to Tunisia and is still very connected with the Tunisian Psychiatric Association. So when it came to election, she decided to run for that region rather than the European region, right? And so eventually it is totally up to you to decide which region you feel more connected with and what your long-term goal is, right? Obviously, if you run for certain positions, particularly within the committee, right? These positions are for 3 years. And if you get elected, let's just say for Canada, right? But your plan is to move away or somewhere else after 1 year, but it's probably hard to represent Canada unless you're there. So I
Okay.
would say these are some considerations I
So-
would.
So that's a good explanation. Sorry for taking time. So do I need to be a member of Canadian Psychiatric Association?
In order to stand for elections, you need to be a member of any national psychiatric organization, but
Thank
it
you.
doesn't have to be the Canadian one.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that lovely presentation. I was just curious, for the organogram where you position the officers, I don't know what is that the best place? You share the slide where you position the senior officers between the executive members and then the next cadre.
Which is the section committee members, like the 5 members across the world. And are you thinking to just like have it basically the same, like on the same level?
Yeah, I was just wondering, are they not supposed to be on the same, or in terms of the power structure?
Yeah, so Alex, you can weigh in as well, of course, but like, so by WPA bylaws, right, there's always like 3 people leading a section. That's the chair, the co-chair, and the secretary. And then you have other section members that are part of the committee, but not in this leading position. So that's why we basically put it like a notch above, just because if anything happens, like if we need to discuss anything with executive committee, it is like the 3 section officers that are accountable. But I think the least thing we want to express is to think that we feel like superior, like we are like, that's why we always talk about inclusivity. And I think that's your point is well taken in terms of, is there a way of like, making it looking less hierarchical, even though on paper we are the ones leading the section.
Yeah, and also I'd like to add that we really wanted to reach everyone across the world. We even advocated for the ECPs, and we are starting to reach areas that were not well represented, such as Africa, Asia, Southeast Asia, especially, that were not well represented in our committee. And now all these regions are. The whole committee, as we are representatives from each region, we have the same level of hierarchy, as we would say. We just have we chose among us which ones would be the officers, and to do each of the roles. So we had an internal election for that, and I think this is the best way for that. But we are just representative as any others. We are just doing this bureaucratic work of doing this liaison also with the other levels, because Rick showed that there is the executive committee, but between the executive committee there's the sections, secretary for sections, and also there's an appointed person that has contact with us. So WPA still has a very strict structure that we are trying to help change, but we actually strongly believe that the ECP section is the doorway for WPA. So that's why we want to include everyone. That's why we are now creating these zealous positions, because we really want more people to be engaged and join our section. And also, I think, I don't remember if Rick mentioned it, but we, for the next mandate, the elected officers will be beside the current mandate for 1 year, so we can have a continuity, like what the work we are doing will be kept for the next mandate officials. So it will be a living organism. And finally, we are also advocating for the next presidency of WPA for us to have a more important role. We are now one of the 66 sections, but we believe that ECPs are more than that. So we are going to work closely with the next presidency too.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was just wondering, you said the current section leaders do not have like a tenure as per the law. You were recommending that you do like every 3 years. Is there any constitutional review that will allow you to ingrain this so that it's not like an arbitrary, mechanism you're using, but like, because I think looking at the momentum ECP has gathered now, we need to like get things structured so that it's not arbitrary and doesn't give any room for ambiguities. The other thing concerning the finances, I noticed, I'm not sure, but I noticed there's a donate button on the website. I was just, if everything has to go through the executive committee, we don't have a page. I don't think we have a website on our own. I don't know whether it's possible to, create a separate website or a linked website of ECP to the executive one, where there'll also be a donation component there. Maybe we can advocate and put that into our programs for people to start, donation. I'm sure that will be a tremendous amount of financing for us.
Yeah, I like that. We will definitely explore that. And then for the first point you raised, so yeah, there are regulations in the WPA bylaws about like how long section officers are elected. So WPA always runs in 3-year cycles, right? So the presidency is 3 years, the president-elect is 3 years, the secretary is 3 years. So everyone on the executive committee, and the sections basically just follow, right? It's like 3 years. So that's basically in the bylaws. There's a new stipulation in the bylaws that basically, or there will be a new stipulation that basically says that people should only be in the committee level for a max of like 9 years, so 3 triennial, because right now some of the section officers, not in our section, but some other sections have been there for 20, 25, 30 years. And that's really like, it's good for continuity and really bad for representation. And so, but we wanted to be even a bit more stringent by saying, right, so we encourage members to, to step out after 6 years. I mean, most often they will lose their ECP status anyway, right? Because it's limited to 7 years after graduation. But if not, I mean, unfortunately, it's not enforceable. Neither is it enforceable that the 3 section officers cannot run again after 3 years. It's just not what the bylaws support. But that's the most we could basically write in our new terms of reference, is that we highly encourage people to not run to allow this. But in order to be in sync with the WPA bylaws, we couldn't make it mandatory. Yeah. All right.
Thanks a lot. Yeah. I know it's time, but just the last contribution to just motivate people. I was wondering if we can have a point system or a gamifying kind of system where ECP members who participate in activity tend to earn some points, and that, when we come for maybe the Congress, who has the highest point is awarded or something. I'm just thinking whether that to, motivate people to be joining this activity. So, for example, I know if I join this meeting, I earn like a 3 points. Yeah. And we get that onto our website, and our names are flashed. Okay. I'm sure that will actually stimulate participation in activities.
Yeah, I've seen that before at conferences, and I really like it's a leadership board. That's, I think, what it's called, right? Like whoever engages the most with other members or like goes to lectures. So we will definitely take this up and think about this, and we may get back in terms of helping having you help us to think through this a bit more. But yeah, I think that's engagement is key. All right. Any last minute comments before we say goodbye for today?
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Batul Vasikov. First, I would like to thank you for your important work. Your activities help young psychiatrists from different countries as me learn, communicate, and work together. I also want to thank you for today's presentation. It was very interesting and useful to hear about the work that has already been done. But it's a pity that more people couldn't join today. I would like to ask you, what do you think could be the reason for this? And what you are planning to do to attract more young psychiatrists to participate in the future?
Yeah, I think a great question. I think a couple of things. One, it wasn't on a short notice per se, but it was also not like the longest notice because we only sent it like less than 2 weeks ago and people have clinic, and we try to make it as accommodating as possible to have like 2 town halls, right? Like one for some time zones and then some others for other time zones. So, and maybe the Saturday just works better because it's a weekend day for people to join. So we are hopeful there will be more for the second town hall. We did record it for the reason to just like share it with the membership. I think on average, when we have calls for certain positions or project or activities, we definitely get good engagement across the different zones. But also it just like really still, reflects one of the key challenges, which is, that to get people participate from countries or regions that haven't traditionally participated. And I think part of it is has to do, there are many reasons I think, but part of it is with awareness creation, because people just don't know what the benefits are of the WPA and the ECP section, right? The fellowships, the research opportunities, the activities. And so I think that's now where we rely on all of you, right, to go out and spread the word and encourage people to come and join. And yeah, but you're right. I think it's a pity that we had, that more people didn't come. But we definitely are very happy that you all came. So that was great. And yeah, that's ongoing work for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, everyone. So thanks again for joining. As I said, the second town hall will be on April 18th. After the second town hall, we're going to send an email with information again for the different new positions that we have. And then you will be able to apply. The other thing I just want to point out quickly is we are currently planning, I hope you saw the email, for the Early Career Psychiatry Congress that is separate from the World Congress of Psychiatry. So every few years, the Early Career Psychiatrists organize their own Congress. And we are currently looking for host institutions for the Congress. Submission deadline is the end of July. If you want to propose to host early career psychiatrists for their Congress next year, 2027. But yeah, there are plenty of opportunities coming. So please just keep a look at your emails and just email us if you have any questions. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day or good night, wherever you are. Bye now.
Thank you. Thank you for attending. Bye-bye.